A lot of these episodes have been doing a lot of very heavy character focus. I'd like to make a prediction because, well, it will never happen since I'm already probably too old to ever even get started, and I don't even have my foot in the door. If I was to ever do a television show, what I would do was I would do two things with most of my first season: establish and slow growth and development. Here's the premise, here's the status quo, and here's how the people are slowly changing and moving forward. The idea being that you have to establish a status quo before you can really alter it, right? So, there's a TV show called Hello Megan, right? Um, which has her name and her catchphrase and just all sorts of stuff. And wow, did we ever watch shows like that back in the 80s? Don't answer that. Wally hints that he knows what's going on with Bruce. Now that actually confused me, so I decided to look that up while the episode was playing. Turns out this show has actually been running alongside a comic series, which is also apparently still continuity. They're still both canon with each other. Now this is interesting because I don't know how accurate they're keeping back and forth, but that's actually really cool, I think, for the same reason I like that same concept back in Rebels. So, Megan flips out. This is myself. She's a really bad liar. It's actually kind of funny when you think about it. And we get to see Queen Troy. Again, that's good to see. They really like to use fake countries for some of these, don't they? I don't have much to say about that, actually. I was thinking about that. They already did this with North not Korea and South not Korea. But in hindsight, it kind of makes a weird amount of sense to go ahead and just bypass the whole problem, right? Okay, we need a troubled country that's not here. Fine, here's made up a stand. You know, it's one of the problems with when you set a story in a world that's supposed to be like real life, but necessarily isn't. After all, just because this is Earth, they may still have the same geography, but it doesn't mean they have the same political setup. There is a degree of sense to that. I mean, this is a world in which superheroes are normal, after all. So, Robin reacts to being leader. I mentioned that slow growth thing. This is a very nice contrast to when he first tried to be leader and was very, very upset at not doing it. It's also interesting that Robin, after some thought, agrees to go off mission, which is also some nice development of him as a character. So, you remember when I mentioned how I liked the idea that aliens would be into our fiction, right? The guy who liked Westerns, one of the new gods. Apparently the Martians got to see some of our TV too. I mean, Futurama even did a thing with this, if you remember, with the original Star Trek series, but that's neither here nor there. This is an interesting concept because, all right, I'm going to go and be real here for a second. I know what it's like to feel lost, alone, depressed, suicidal, dejected, harassed, abused. And most of that's just because of where I grew up. Now, don't mistake me. I had very loving parents, and that's actually something that I have grown to understand over the years. I'm actually very grateful for. I'm very lucky to have a mother and a father who both love me and care about me. School was a lot worse. I grew up, I'm not going to say where, I grew up in some pretty unpleasant schools. And we also moved a lot, so I had to deal with that problem constantly, right? Now, I'm not saying this to say, oh, pity poor me. That's neither here nor there. No, it's just I bring this up because I always think of that when it comes to empathizing with someone who has, let's call it an escape vector. Something to help them to cope with, deal with, and deny the horrible things that they have to deal with, right? What level of severity that horrible has is going to vary from person to person, but I imagine a lot of you watching this right now understand that particular form of escapism. I also have the somewhat controversial opinion that escapism is not necessarily bad, which I know puts me in the minority on that. They're building something nearby, forgive me. So, seeing her and her having to cope with this via this method actually makes a lot of sense to me. What does not make sense is how far and hard she's willing to go to maintain her secret. So she's a white Martian. Lower shock, completely called that, by the way. and some kind of giant, insectoid lizard kind of monster, which looks pretty cool, actually. But then again, I'm a little bit blasé at that. I've digested a lot of fiction in my ears. You have to do a lot more than a semi-humanoid-looking monster thing to get to me. Now, if she was like tentacles, ugh. Or a bug, ugh, that'd be even worse. Like if she was a spider person, flamethrower. I'm just kidding. Because this is actually a pretty serious and pretty dark episode. She is willing to go to severe lengths to maintain her secret. She is so horrified she attacks her own people. And she probably technically kills Simon. You notice the drool? He might literally be brain dead now. And remember what we know about her latent power? Her overall mana levels, if you want to call it that? Then, when confronted, she uses another lie by saying, this is what I really look like, which is nothing at all what she really looks like. Now, this is all interesting in its own right, but what really struck me, one of the things that I've been big on for most of my life is the ability to choose yourself and your identity, your name, whatever. And that's kind of become a big thing in the last few years, too, here. See, here's the problem. I don't have enough information to judge this yet. If she's just trying to escape what she really is out of fear, that's not cool. If she is choosing that she is someone else, well, then that's a lot more cool, isn't it? Because at that point, it's a matter of her choice about her identity. Which, shrug, sure, go for it, I don't care. I do have to say that I'd like to think that most of them would be more upset about her lying about what she looks like than what she looks like. I also have a feeling that she is drastically underestimating the members of the League who probably know more about this than she thinks. And, of course, as a direct consequence of all of this, see, here's why. All of this is just the realm of theoretical. The problem is now this is a bad thing. Not because of the lying and the hiding, even though that's bad in itself. No, it's because she's now compromised. Congratulations, one of the villains has dirt on you. I'm trying to clap really quietly. I know the mic's like right there. There you go. Good job. Good job, Megan. I know you're kind of new at this, but you just made mistake 101, letting the villain control you. Poor Megan. I guess we'll see where this develops. I'm assuming it does develop further next time.